तस्मै गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Now, last session we had completed second chapter. Second chapter ended with Yachet Avedita अथ सत्यमस्ति न चेत इह अवेदिम महति विनष्टिः भूतेषु भीतोषु विचित्य धीराः प्रत्यय अस्मात् लोकात् अमृता भवन्ति. So this was the concluding verse of the second chapter, in which it was said that in this birth itself we have to attain the highest, which is our birthright, which is our own essential nature. So human birth is very rare, and in that human birth, to be physically, mentally and intellectually fit is even rarer. And being physically, mentally and intellectually fit, to have inclination towards spirituality, that is even rare. Rarest of them. So we have to take the advantage of the opportunity that we have and progress on the spiritual path earnestly. This was the concluding verse of the second chapter. The ego is the problem. One has to renounce the ego to be God here and now. Attachment makes us, or attachment is the cause of the limited ego. And without attachment, without mamata, that aham is paripurna, I is paripurna. So there is no time to waste. We have to take advantage of the opportunity that we have got. Now the two more chapters are there. Third chapter is just a story, and the fourth chapter is an explanation on that story. Now, the story is a simple story that there was the Devas attained victory over the Asuras. And of course, with the help of that absolute truth, Brahman. But then in their achievement of this success of victory over the Asuras, they totally forgot that with the grace and blessings of whom did they have such a victory. And they were lost in what celebration. See? So the absolute truth, with the intention of blessing them, appeared in the form of a yaksha on the horizon. So when the Devas saw that there is some magnificent, very enchanting form that has appeared on the horizon, what it is, they were eager to know. So they sent first Agni Devata. Jata Veda is known as Jata Veda. That is, knower, the one who knows the knowledge, keeps the knowledge. Jata Veda. So he was sent to know who this enchanting form is. The horizon that is seen. So he was given the responsibility to find out. And then he goes with all arrogance and pride. And then he sees this Yaksha. And then the Yaksha questions him, who are you? So in his arrogance, he says that I am Agni Dev. I can scorch universes. That is my power. So when Yaksha asked him, what is your power? I can scorch universes. So when Agni Dev said about his power, then Yaksha put a blade of grass in front of him and he told him, in my presence, just change the temperature of that blade of grass. Forget about burning it to ashes. Just change the temperature slightly of that blade of grass. Agni Devata tried his best, but he couldn't do anything to that blade of grass. With all his might of fire and heat and everything, nothing he could do to that blade of grass. And then, defeated, he returns. And then all the devas are eager to know. So what did you find out? Then Agni Dev admitted that I don't know. I couldn't find out who that Yaksha is. Then the second was Vayudev. So Vayudev was sent to find out who is this Yaksha, who is this enchanting form. So Vayudev hastened to where the Yaksha was in his enchanting form. So the Yaksha asked him, who are you? So he said, I am Vayudev. What is your power? He said that I can blow out universes like some paper balls or balloons. That is my power. Then again, the Yaksha put that same blade of grass and told him, move this blade of grass just slightly, maybe a millimeter, with your power. So Vayu Devata tried his best, who boasted that he could blow away universes like some paper balls or balloons and things like that. He couldn't move that blade of grass in the presence of that Yaksha. Defeated, he returns, and then all the devas are eager to know whether he could find out who he is. So even Vayu Devata admitted that he couldn't know who that Yaksha is. And then, of course, all the devas approached Indradev, the king of gods, and requested him to find out who that enchanting Yaksha is. So then Indradev approached that Yaksha. But as he approached that Yaksha, the Yaksha disappeared. But then Indra didn't turn back. He was eager to know. So he walked a little forward to find out who that Yaksha was, if there is any way to know. At that time, Uma, the daughter of Himavan, appeared. And then she told that that was the absolute truth manifesting in a particular form for a temporary period to bless the gods. You see, so now this story may seem to be a very fancy story. The Yaksha appearing, and then the Agni Dev and Vayu Dev going there, and then the Indra. So they are all symbolic. You see, in Sanatana Dharma, there are many stories and illustrations given. They are symbolic. They have their purpose. Here it has to be understood that who is Agni Dev, who is Vayu Dev, who is Indra. So this Agni, Vayu, Akasha, the five great elements, the Agni, Vayu, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala and Prithvi. They are the five elements, Panchamahabhuta. And then they have their own gunas also, the qualities. So this is from the subtlest to the grossest manifestation. From the Akasha, which is the subtlest, to the Prithvi Tattva, which is the grossest manifestation. So, Akasha Tattva, it has the quality of sound. And then from Akasha Tattva, from the absolute truth, the substratum has manifested the Akasha Tattva with the quality of sound. And from that subtle has manifested the Vayu Tattva with the quality of sense of touch. Now, Vayu Tattva or Vayu Panchamahabhuta has got the quality of Akasha also. So Vayu Tattva has got the two qualities, the sound as well as the sense of touch. Then from Akasha and Vayu, then the third manifestation is the Agni Tattva, the fire element. Fire element is the first one where colors and forms are perceived. And fire element has also got the quality of the earlier two elements, sound as well as the sense of touch, along with the perception of colors and forms. Then the fourth element, the Jala Tattva. Jala Tattva, its quality is the sense of taste. And it has also got the qualities of the earlier three elements, that of sound, that of sense of touch, as well as the taste, colors and forms and taste, all these things are there. And then finally, the Prithvi Tattva, the earth element, which has the quality of smell, along with the other qualities also included in that. Now, through these Panchamahabhutas and through these qualities are produced the five sense organs. From Akasha Tattva, which has got the dhvani or the sound as the quality, has manifested the ears, the organ through which sound can be heard. The ear, and then of course the vacha, the skin, through which we can feel the sense of touch, and then the eyes, with the Agni Tattva, through which we can see the colors and forms, and then the Jala Tattva, Varun Dev, through which without the Jala Tattva we cannot have the sense of taste. If the tongue is extremely dry, we cannot have the sense of taste. It has to have the saliva. So Jala Tattva has to be there to get the sense of taste. And then the Prithvi Tattva, which gives the sense of smell, the nose. So here these two sense organs are the representation. Agni Dev and Vayu Dev, the sense of touch and the sense of colors and forms. These are the two representations. What the story tells us is that the theme of this Upanishad started in the beginning itself. The sadhaka's question was there, that powered by whom that the eyes can see, ears can hear, and so on. So these sense organs, they are powered by that absolute truth. And therefore, the absolute truth cannot be perceived by the sense organs. So from these elements, they have manifested the qualities and the sense organs, and it cannot be perceived through that. And the control of these five sense organs is the mind. The ruler of all these gods is the Indra. So it can be comprehended to a certain extent. The mind only, a sadhak's mind, a mind which is viveki, which is vairagi, which is sufficiently withdrawn from the external world, such a mind is qualified to contemplate, to do the Shravana sadhana of the Upanishads, and to reflect and contemplate. So Indra represents that. And therefore, Indra, even when the Yaksha disappeared, he doesn't return immediately. He is more eager to know who that entity was. And that is how. Now, Uma, the daughter of Himavan, she is none other than Shruti Mata herself. So, we have to understand this story. Many times it comes like this, and then they may appear very fancy stories, you see. So, we have to understand that these five elements, the five sense organs, they all depend on that absolute truth, Brahman, and therefore truth can't be known by these sense organs, organs of action. Even the mind and intellect also functions because of that absolute truth, and therefore mind and intellect is also not capable of knowing that. In the ultimate stage, one has to transcend the mind-intellect equipment itself. So a pure mind, that is Indra, is needed to approach the truth. The seeker can't overcome. Another thing is that in this story, the Devas had the victory with the help of that absolute truth. Now a seeker, a sadhaka, can't overcome all the negativities within him. Asuri bhava, asuri guna, without his grace. See, the devas and asuras are nothing but the devas are that which is positive in us, and asuras are that which is negative in us. All the good qualities, that is the daivic qualities that is within us. All the negative qualities are the asuric qualities that is within us. So, if a sincere spiritual seeker is able to overcome all his asuric qualities, that is because of the grace and blessings of that absolute truth. So, and therefore, a seeker may do all types of tapas and all that thing. There should be no arrogance that I did tapascharya for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, like that. And then I gained this siddhi or this state, this spiritual state, and so on. So without his grace, without his blessings, it is not possible. So that, and in any case, spirituality is all about dissolving the ego. So why the arrogance of achieving something, even some small siddhis somebody gets, a seeker gets on the spiritual path, then the arrogance comes. Okay, I've got this siddhi, this power to this and that and all that thing. So the ultimate purpose of spiritual sadhana is to dissolve the ego. But with these small siddhis or something like that, arrogance increases. the ego becomes even stronger. And that is not what is required. That is counterproductive. So, sadhaka can't boast about his own sadhana. Whatever he may be doing, that sadhana is also happening because of his grace alone. Without that, the sadhana will also not happen. The inclination also is there, the purpose is there. His grace alone helps us for us to stick to the it also helps us to stick to the spiritual path. Otherwise, many people come on the spiritual path and then they give up halfway. Because that sankalpa is not strong, determination is not strong. For some period of time, they'll do some sadhana and something like that, and then they'll give up. Oh, it is too difficult. And all that thing, it is not possible. And some excuse or the other we tend to create. And therefore, we tend to give up in between. So the ability to stick to it, the fortitude, the ability, the strength to stick to it, that also comes from His grace alone. Ultimately, our own Antaratma is our guru, is our master, is our guide. So that comes from within. That is where we surrender. Without that, it is not possible to walk the spiritual path. Very difficult. So even to have that determination to stick to the path, because many people take to the path and somewhere along the line they fall off the path. For some reason or the other, something or the other happens. The determination is not there. The sankalpa is not very strong. And then they get distracted by so many other things because Maya is ever present to enchant and distract. So then something or the other will distract, and then the sadhaka is lost into something fancy, and then he falls off the path and then become yoga bhrashta. So we have to ensure that we should not ever fall off the path. We should stick to it. So this is an important aspect of spiritual life. It is not easy, it is difficult, but the reward is also infinite. See, it is difficult, it is very difficult, very, very difficult, but not possible. And the reward, you see, that cannot be compared with anything. Then, in the 4th chapter, now the preceptor, the Rishi of this Upanishad, he gives the explanation what the Shruti Mata, in the form of that Uma, daughter of Himavan, appeared. So then the explanation is given. What it is, in this 4th chapter, first shloka, the first mantra, Sa Brahmeti ha uvacha Brahmanah va etad vijaye mahiyadvam iti tatah ha eva vidanchakara brahma iti. So now the preceptor says that Devi, that goddess who appeared, she explained to Indra that it was Brahman, the absolute truth. And that through Brahman alone, that the Devas, she tells him that you attain the victory over the Asuras. And the greatness and all that thing. So then alone, Indra understood that who this Yaksha was. You see, is Brahman. Now, pure mind is qualified to inquire. Indra represents the pure mind. A mind purified by tapas, a mind which is viveki, a mind which is vairagi. So a pure mind alone is qualified to inquire. So, and lots of patience is required. You see, this is an era of instant everything. Instant coffee, instant cricket, and instant this and instant that. But spiritual path, there is nothing instant there. It has to be in its own time. There is always a gestation period. It doesn't happen because it is not that why it cannot be instant. Actually, it should be instant alone. But the problem is that because you see, that is even now our real self, our essential nature. So why can't it be instant? It can be instant, no doubt about it. But the problem is what? Over millions of lives, we have accumulated a lot of dirt on that mirror, which requires a lot of cleaning. The self is, of course, self-illumined. Nothing is required to bring it from anywhere else. It is always there. So this cleaning work is taking a lot of time. That's all. So it is instant in a way. It is now and here. But the problem is that we have accumulated a lot of dirt on that. And all the sadhana is only to clean up that. So sadhak should be patient and engage in that cleaning work. And as soon as the mirror is clean, the reflection is always there. So inner peace is heightened. This heightened awareness, inner peace and the heightened awareness can cognize that absolute truth, can recognize the Shruti Vakya, the statements in the scriptures, the Shruti highest. Just recognizing the statement, understanding the statement is not enough. That is again acquiring Paroksha Jnana. But then it has to be converted into Aparoksha Bodha. So patience is no doubt required. Then in the second mantra of the fourth chapter, Tasmat va ete deva atitaram iva anyan devan anyat agnihi vayuhu indrahate hi enat nedishtam prasprushaha te hi enat prathamah vidanchakara brahma iti. So tasmat, therefore, now these three were there to approach that absolute form, that absolute truth, which manifested in a particular form. So Agni Devata, Vayu Devata, and Indra. Of course, Agni and Vayu didn't know who it was, but they came closest to that. So this Agni and Vayu are revered more, appreciated more, along with Indra, who actually came to know that yaksha, the form, was that absolute truth alone and nothing else. So they came nearest, they approached nearest to that truth, and therefore they are supposed to be, they excel among all the gods, among all the devas. Now here we have to understand these devas and asuras are only, the devas are the positive qualities in us, the quality of patience, tolerance, love, kindness, compassion, and all that. And the asuras represent all the negative qualities in us, anger, hatred, and so on, violence, that has to be understood. And therefore, these are respected more among the devas. Then further, in the third mantra, Tasmat va indraha atitaram iva anyan devan saha hi enat nedishtam pasparshah sahi enat pratamaha vidanchakara brahma iti. And therefore now this Indra, because Indra is the first one to know that absolute truth, so he approached the spirit nearest and he didn't leave, and he came to know that who that spirit was, who that yaksha was, the nothing but the absolute truth. So qualities of Indra is needed in the sadhaka, in the seeker. See, when the yaksha disappeared, as soon as Indra approached, yaksha disappeared. Indra didn't return with disappointment. Well, when I approached, he disappeared, so I don't know who he is. No, he stayed. And in fact, he walked further in his eagerness to know. You see, so the qualities of Indra are required in sadhaka. Many a times there will be ups and downs in life also, as we are doing our spiritual practices also. But there should be no despair. Highs and lows are always there. So that should not happen. So that quality is required in seekers. Initially, again, the vision of truth is in flashes only. See? And only subtle awareness can know, can realize, can know. This is very important. So one has to stick to the path and not give up, because mind has a tendency to create thousands of excuses. When we don't want to do particular thing, then the mind will come up with so many excuses. And when we want to do something which we are not supposed to do, again the mind will come up with so many excuses why we should do that. Then we can't trust our mind. Mind has to be under the control of the viveki buddhi, a discriminative intellect. And that is important. Then in the third mantra, in the fourth mantra of this concluding chapter, it says, Tasya esha adeshah yad etad vidyuttah vidyuttada iti anyam ibishada anyam ibishada iti adidaivatam. Now, tasya esha adeshah. Tasya esha adesha. Adesha is the description, varnan, illustration through example or through stories. So, here it is given, his splendor and everything, shining like lightning, and it appeared just in flashes. So, iti etat adidaivatam, compared to, with reference to all the devas. So, compared to other devas, now this supreme absolute truth just appeared in flashes, twinkling of an eye. So, all the devas means all the cosmic powers. They are representatives, and then they are given names and then a form is also assigned to that. But they are generally, they are what is known as the cosmic powers. So this is just an illustration, this is an example of that absolute truth. Now here, this is the technique given in the different scriptures of the Sanatan Dharma. Through stories and illustrations, certain things are clarified for easier understanding of the seeker. And here it is said that it is momentary, twinkling. Sometimes that truth may appear in flashes. This is what it is said here. It just may appear in flashes. Anyat anyami bibishtada, that is within the twinkling of the eye. So, of course, one momentary flash is enough. The realization of the self, one moment is enough. Fraction of a second is enough. That flash is enough. You see, even if 1 millimeter of the snake is detected as a rope, that is enough. Then one can easily understand it is no snake, it is a rope only. So one nimisham, one flash. And then many great masters who had this flash of that absolute truth, the realization of that, and then they continued, they went and continued in their tapas, in their samadhi, to get fully established in that. See, Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi had the experience of the absolute truth in Madurai itself when he was 17 years old. And then he went to Tiruvannamalai to be fully established in that. He didn't go to Tiruvannamalai without knowing the truth. He knew the truth. He had that experience. But to be fully established in that, then he went to Tiruvannamalai and retired to the cave and continued in his samadhi there. So, but even if we have that one momentary flash of that absolute truth, that is enough, that's it. Nothing more is required. Having said that, in the next mantra, in the fifth mantra, now Shruti Mata gives to our devotees another adesha from the microcosm. Another adesha, another illustration or example. You see, अथ अध्यात्मं यद एतद गच्छति इव च मनः अनेन च एतद उपस्मरमति अभीक्ष्य संकल्पः. So now this description from the point of view of that supreme reality, the absolute truth within the body. So as one thinks of that absolute truth in one's own mind, intellect, equipment, as speedily as the mind wills. Now here, the important thing that we need to understand is mind is a flow of thought. If there is no thought, there is no mind. In the absence of thought, mind doesn't exist. In the deep sleep state, when the thoughts are absent, temporarily, mind doesn't exist. In the waking plane of consciousness, if there is a moment, a thought-free moment, then there is an absence of mind. And then, in that thought-free moment, is the absolute truth in its open manifestation or madness, one can say. So, how we can get that experience? What is the technique? This has been explained many times. This is actually also the purpose of japa sadhana. Japa sadhana is not to do the japa of so many malas, so many times a day, and all that thing that I do 11 malas, I do 21 malas, I do 108 malas every day of japa sadhana. So that is not the purpose. The purpose is the sandhi kala, the gap between the chanting of nama japa, two nama or two mantra, between the two mantras. The japa sadhana is for that purpose, sandhi kala. That sandhi kala has to be increased between the two names if you are doing the nama japa, or between the two mantras if you are doing the mantra japa. So this sandhi kala is the awareness of that absolute truth when there is no thought manifestation, and one has not gone to sleep also. And this sandhi kala initially comes in flashes, off and on. Maybe it may last for half a second, 1 second, 2 seconds, before a thought manifests. So it comes in flashes, this sandhi kala. When one can be in sandhi kala, as the time duration increases more and more, in that sandhi kala, we get established in that when no thought eruptions are there. When there are no thought eruptions, actually, then only we can be one with that absolute truth, because then we have transcended the mind-intellect equipment. When there is no thought interruption, eruptions are there. There is no I notion also there. That I notion is not there. Only awareness is there. That's all. It's not that I am aware. Just awareness without any thought eruption. So this is an important aspect in the Vedantic sadhana. So, because a normal mind, a standard and average mind is full of all kinds, it's very stormy, all kinds of thoughts come and go. The emotions and thoughts, they come and go. It is like a storm. It is like the disturbed ocean with huge waves coming and going and dashing and all that thing. So the thoughts come and go continuously. And that is the average mind. And then with sadhana, we slowly reduce it. Multiple thoughts, multiple subjects, multiple thoughts. One subject, multiple thoughts. One subject, one thought. No subject, no thought. Slow progression. So this is how we have to progress. And then to remain in that infinite. Then the thing is that, of course, we need to take particular time and then sit for that purpose, that sadhana. And then there has to come a time when we need not sit in a particular place for a particular period to be in that. Then it has to be sahaja, that is continuous, all the time, 24/7, every moment. Sahaja Samadhi, as Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi was in Sahaja Nitya Samadhi, in and through all his activities that was seen by others. So, this is an important aspect that we have to focus on, the Sandhi Kala. Having said that, in the sixth mantra, Tadha Tadvanam Nama Tadvanam iti upasitavyam Saya etad evam Vedabhi ha enam Sarvani Bhutani Savanchanti. So, Tadha Tadvanam. Tadvanam is also a reference to that absolute truth Brahman. Nama Tadvanam iti upasitavyam. Saya etad evam Vedabhihi henam Sarvani Bhutani Samvanchanti. So now here the description is given about the one who has realized this Brahman, also known as Tadvana. Now here, this may seem like a contradiction. After saying Nedam Yadidam Upasate, now here Upasitavyam, the word has come. So, this is not so. Shruti is not against idol worship, Murti Puja. But taking Upasana as an end in itself, that is not right. Upasana has got a purpose. And having served the purpose, one has to progress beyond that. So, dharana and upasana are for purifying the mind-intellect equipment for the higher contemplation, for the contemplation of the higher, the absolute truth, and not for finite sansaric gains. You see? So, Vedavyasji through Puranas gave us Bhakti Yoga because he knew that everybody is not equipped for this particular Vedantic sadhana. Vedanta is very difficult. Path of knowledge, Jnana Yoga is very difficult. So he gave us Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is also equally potent. So those who have got those who are Adhikari of Bhakti Yoga, they can take to Bhakti Yoga. And those who are Adhikari of Jnana Yoga, they can take to Jnana Yoga. So Vedantins, of course, should meditate upon the absolute truth as Tadvanam, meaning one deserving to be worshipped, upasitavyam, as that which is all-pervading tattva, sarvavyapi tattva. So the one who meditates becomes that which he meditates upon, that which is meditated upon. So the common statement that comes in the Upanishad is Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. So that which is meditated upon, that is what he becomes. Like the Brahmara Kitak Nyaya. So in that also, continuously contemplating on that Brahmara, the Kitaka becomes Brahmara. That is the cycle that he has to go through. So this is an example often quoted in the scriptures. So contemplating on that absolute truth, then one becomes that Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. Now such a one becomes worthy of love and adoration of all. So Sarvani Bhutani Samvanchanti. So he is adored by all. He becomes worthy of love also. Such a one who has realized the self, the absolute truth. And then, because he has become now egoless, he doesn't get involved into any desire prompted activities. Since he has become egoless, only the divinity manifests through him. Divinity expresses through him. So, he has burned all his Sanchita karma, Agami karma, and everything. And then he is now only manifesting or expression of that absolute truth. Now, in the seventh mantra, the self-perfection technique is given. Now here, the disciple speaks in the seventh mantra, Upanishadam bho bruhiti ukta ta Upanishad brahmim Abrahmim, Vavta Upanishadam Abdumi iti. Now, the disciple tells the preceptor, the rishi, that teach me the saving knowledge. Upanishadam bho, sir, bruhiti ukta. Teach me the saving knowledge. The Upanishad Brahmi. So now the preceptor says that Vavta Upanishadam Abrumi iti. This saving knowledge, now he is asking for saving knowledge. That knowledge which will save me, the disciple. So now the master says that the saving knowledge has already been imparted to you. So we have imparted to you the saving knowledge of that Brahma. Why he says that? The saving knowledge has been imparted. So now what is the purpose of these disciples saying this, asking for this saving knowledge, having heard the entire Upanishad? Actually, this is not a question, but a tradition in the, it is a Vedantic tradition. The seeker is always eager to know more. Now here it implies two things. One is that a clear declaration from the Guru that the Upanishad has been completed. It has ended, it has been completed. The knowledge has been imparted. And the second thing is that it also implies that this seeker, sadhaka, the disciple, wants some more information. Something more than what you have already said. Anything else you want to give? Something extra? Some tips? You see? So, want some more information regarding the technique of self-perfection. So, that is the only purpose here. Of course, the seeker also knows that the Upanishad has ended. But then he says that give me that saving knowledge, because a seeker is always eager to know more, to get more information, to get something more about the sadhana. If there is some other sadhana also, whatever sadhana has been told, if there is any other technique also, much easier technique also. So there is an eagerness is there. So now, again, the technique is given in the same way. What is that technique? In the 8th mantra, he says, Tasyai tapaha damaha karma iti pratishtha vedaha sarvangani satyam ayatanam. So, tasyai tapaha damaha karma iti pratishtha vedaha sarvangani satyam ayatanam. So now what are the practices that one has to do? So these are the three things: tapaha, austerities; damaha, complete control; karma iti pratishtaha. And the karma. Karma here is the nishkam karma, karma yoga. So these three are given here. So here it is said that the absolute truth rests on the so-called, in a way it is said, on the foundation of tapa, dhamma, and nishkama karma. For a seeker to realize, so the realization of the absolute truth rests on tapa, dhamma, and nishkama karma. Without some self-control, self-perfection is not possible. So the control of the sense organs, organs of action, control of the mind and intellect equipment. So now the karma which is said here, karma means that includes for seekers, for spiritual seekers includes upasana, prayer, then study also, study of the scriptures, attending satsangs, doing japa, dharana, dhyana, then mananam, nididhyasanam, etc. So all this comes under the heading karma. Because now that seeker who is on the spiritual path, he has nothing else to do. He has no desire prompted activities regarding the worldly things. So he has to get involved in all these activities, the karmas that is given here. The karma means here the upasana, prayer, study, and of course, japa, manan, and everything, dharana, and all that thing. So, after sincerely practicing this bahya tapa, external tapa, that is, then the control of the mind comes, control of the senses and the mind. Along with the inner tapa is the shama and dama, control of the mind as well as the control of the senses. Then one qualifies for this nishkam karma and then to kartutva abhiman rahit nishkam karma. So, tasyai tapah damah karma iti pratishtha. So this mantra gives the sadhana for the knowledge, for the acquired knowledge to fructify. So these are the sadhanas given here for whatever paroksha jnana that we have acquired to convert it into aparoksha bodha. Now, Vedaha sarvangani. So these Veda are the limbs. Now, actually, we have to understand that in the absolute truth, there are no parts. When it is said here, Vedas are its limbs, that absolute truth, limbs of that absolute truth. So when you talk of limbs means you talk of form. And when you talk of form, it is something, a limited entity. So in the absolute, there can't be any parts. Or else it will be limited by that form, you see. So here what it means is that the Vedangas, which are also helpful. You see, there are 6 explanatory limbs for the Vedas. There are 4 Vedas and then there are 6 Vedangas, which also helps the seeker. What are the 6 Vedangas? They are namely this Siksha. Siksha is phonetics, because all our scriptures are in Sanskrit. So to understand the Sanskrit phonetics is required. Siksha, then Vyakarana, grammar. Sanskrit grammar is also required. Chandas. Chandas is the meter in which the shlokas, sutras, and mantras are chanted. Then Nirukta. Nirukta is the etymology, getting to the root, dhatu, from which root the word has come. Then Jyotisha is, of course, astronomy and astrology. And Kalpa. Kalpa is the method of rituals. You see, so method of rituals also, there are 4 things involved in that. Shrauta Sutras are there, which explains the yajna rituals. And Sulba gives the dimension of the yajnas, the rituals that has to be performed, the area in which and all that thing. Then, of course, Dhruya Sutras talks about domestic life, and Dharma Sutras deals with the ethics, laws and customs to live in the society. Now, every knowledge and experience is useful on the spiritual path. No doubt about it. Even that worldly knowledge or worldly experiences and events that we witness, that also will be useful on the spiritual path, in the sense that we see so many things, and sometimes that which we witness, that which we experience, or that which we see can increase our vairagya also with the world around us. So that is helpful. Or we can see the examples from the external world, which we can relate to certain principles given in the Vedantic knowledge. So they are always useful on the spiritual path. Then Satyam Ayatanam. Satyam Ayatanam is, of course, truth is the substratum of everything. Truth is the abode itself. Truth itself is the substratum of truth, because there is nothing else other than the truth. So Satyam Ayatanam. So here the preceptor has given the path, tapa, dama, karma, iti pratishtha. Now, having said that, we come to the concluding mantra of the 4th chapter and the Upanishad itself, 9th mantra, Yova etam evam Veda apahatya papmanam anante Swarge loke jeye pratitishthati iti. Iti chaturtha khandaha Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, now he who knows thus, Yova etam eva vedaha apahatyaha. He who knows thus, he destroys all the sins. Apahatyaha papmanam anante. So all the sins are destroyed. And then he is established. Ananta Swarge Loke, the limitless, the infinite, boundless, that supreme reality. Jaya. So in the highest blissful state, pratitishthati iti is fully established in that. Now here one has to understand papmanam, apahatya papman. All the sins are destroyed. What is sin? Sin is wrong identity. Because of our own wrong identity, then we get into the activities which is not commensurate with our real self. And that is when it becomes a negative activity. So sin is arising out of wrong identity, that's all. The first sin is that wrong identity. I am the pure self and I think myself to be this gross physical form. That is where all problem starts. And what is that infinite bliss? Infinite bliss is never lost. It is always there. Only we are ignorant of it. Like the famous example often given, that grandfather looking for his specs. And then everybody in the house is hunting for his specs. Then when the grandchild tells him, Grandpa, your specs are on your head and you are looking everywhere unnecessarily. So this is a common example given. So, so the spec, they were always there. Only the misunderstanding is gone, that it is elsewhere. I don't know, I've kept it somewhere and I can't find it, but it was always on the head. So realization is getting rid of the misunderstanding. Misunderstanding that we are something other than what we are in reality. We think ourselves to be a tuchha jiva. And then all the limitations, we are bound by that, and then we suffer because of it. So that misunderstanding only has to be, we have to get rid of. We don't have to bring that absolute truth from anywhere. That is always there. So this is ending the misunderstanding. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. So with this, we conclude Kenopanishad, one of the beautiful Upanishad. This is the Upanishad all the seekers on the Vedantic path of knowledge, Jnana Yoga, should begin with. So now we have concluded the text, but now the Shravana Sadhana is over. Now what will begin is the Mananam and Nididhyasanam. That we have to start. So we'll begin the Mananam Sadhanam. I'll chant the first mantra of the first chapter. Om Kene Shitam Patati Preshitam Manah Kena Prana Prathamah Preti Yuktah Kene Shitam Vancha Mimam Vadanti Chakshu Shotra Kau Devo Yunakti. So from today, Mananam and Shravanam of Keno Upanishad begins. Mananam and Nididhyasanam. Shravanam is over now. Now, if anybody has got any questions.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Yes.
Anybody has got any question? Okay. Swamiji, many times your questions are answered without asking for it. Last, I was waiting for today to ask one question. And the fifth stanza of the fourth chapter has given the answer.
You see, many a times we have questions, but then when we attend our talk the next time, that is how our, in Sandipani also our Acharya used to say, every day after every talk, you will have questions in the mind. Don't come to my room with the questions. At the end of the entire Shravana Sadhana for 2 years, then if you have any questions left, then you come to me to ask.
Now the question was, Swamiji, the essence, the sar of 55 years of my spiritual sadhana, you have already taught us. Praptasya prapti. Now to get the praptasya prapti, ultimately what is required is come from multiple thoughts by way of sadhana, come from multiple thoughts to one thought. And this one thought turn towards the illuminator. This is the sadhana, and this is what we learned even in Dvagdasya Vivek.
Yes.
Now, what is required is to stay in that power or awareness, subjective awareness. My question was, so that is there anything more than that?
Like the disciple asking his preceptor, something
the
more.
fifth shloka. Although I have one answer, that no, nothing is required after that. What is required is to practice, 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 and practice, and gain the mastery in this subjective awareness. My way of understanding, of course, there is no understanding intellect, it does not exist at that point. But lengthen it and bring it when you are doing your transaction in this world. This is the only thing which is required.
See, we go through our life. We have a sansaric life. We are living in this world. We are living in this sansar. And we have to go through our daily routine. The kartavya karmas are there, nitya karmas are there. We go through that. And while we are going through that, there should be always in the background of our mind, whatever we have learned, whatever we have heard, and the sankalpa has to be strong, that has to be always playing. You see, and then once we make that, when we repeat the sankalpa also, I am not taking any form in any loka ever again. And we are going through the motions of activities during the day. Nitya karma is there, kartavya karmas are there. We are going through that. While we are doing the work, focus is required on that. When you are not engaged in activities, of course, we are into contemplation. It has to be throughout the day. It should not be for a particular time in a day we allot, then we read the text or we contemplate upon that. No. Anytime during the day, anytime at night, anytime, this has to go on. We are we have to think about a lot of things, about our activities, about our home, about our people. So many things are there. But in and through all these activities also, the thought has to be that it has to be anchored somewhere. It has to come back to that. Wherever it goes, throughout the day, during the activities it goes, we have to focus on that. We have to think about so many other things also. Our job, our business, our activities, our home, our society and things like that. In and through those also, as and when we are not engaged in that, then we have to come back to it. It is not that we have to allot a specific time only in the day for spiritual sadhana. It has to be 24/7 every moment. As and when our mind is free of other activities, immediately it has to go into that. Reminding our sankalpa also, contemplating on the principles, Vedantic principles, observing the world around us, and then thinking about it with the Vivek Buddhi, what is going on, and then making our mind antarmukha. So this activity has to go on in and through whatever is going on. Of course, to live in this world, we have to engage in so many activities. Our nitya karmas are there, naimetik karmas are there, kartavya karmas are there. We have no choice, but we have to do that. No doubt about that. And we have to apply our mind also while doing that. But whenever the mind is free from that, immediately it has to come to this. That is how we progress on the path.
Yeah. So Swamiji, the biggest gain in this kind of self-awareness, subjective self-awareness, you enjoy the life like anything.
Yes.
Means the external, whatever that was happening in this world, is to affect us mentally, affect me mentally. Political, economic, this, that, all those things. Now the attitude has come that what difference does it make?
Here, what we need to do is that we have to live in the moment. The highest spiritual sadhana is to absolutely be present in the present moment. That is the highest spiritual sadhana, and it is not easy, but that is what we have to do. And therefore, even the small activities that we are engaged in, whatever we may be, because when we are focused on the present moment, we'll always be in a blissful state, in a happy state. When we don't allow our mind to wander into the past or the future and just tie it down to the present moment. And then there is absolute happiness.
Swamiji, I'm quite sure, Swamiji, if we can imbibe this Vedantic truth, then life will become just a drama.
Yes.
Simply drama, Swamiji. And we will unnecessarily be, normally are affected by the external events. That those events are too small for us, considering our blissful state.
Yes.
Yes, Swami.
We have to, whatever has happened in the past, we have to learn to let it go and move on in life. Whether it was good or bad, gone is gone. That's it. So we have to learn the art of letting go and moving on in life and stick to the present moment.
Exactly, Swami. Yes, Swamiji,
So
now
I think now
we'll call it a day, Swamiji. Swamiji, we'll call it a day today. Now, and after the Shanti part, I'll stop the recording and then I would like to talk to you, Swamiji.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Now, do we need a test session for this Upanishad, or everybody is now well versed
Swamiji,
with the
the
Upanishadic statements?
taste is a very, very enjoyable experience, Swamiji.
Is it?
Really.
Okay.
We'll talk about it after the Shanti.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om.